Yeah, I'm working on it. I got the book with me here at the office and I'll be plugging away at it. Oh my God, there's so many pages.
Well, you can always take the course again, the one I got in August, and that's got all the updated material and stuff.
Right. That's on my list also. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for the SRES.
Yeah. We've talked about it.
Yeah, we like to see that, we always make suggestions that doing the SRES designation training, even if you're already designated, just to do it as an update, because things change every year.
Right.
Julie's a repeat offender. Taken it twice.
And now I don't like, we do it every week, really. Right here.
Well, parts of it.
Good morning, Anthony. Anthony went to the refrigerator. Hi, Nadia.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone.
And John's note taker. So, it's so interesting, these note taker things, because I think that's an iPhone thing and I don't know anything about that. Hi. How are you? Margarita.
There, I got you now.
There it
Hey,
is.
everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi. We do a bit of a hybrid. We have people that join me here in the office and then everybody else on Zoom. Kind of a hybrid thing. Works out great.
Yeah.
Ask Valerie if she contacted my computer guy.
Did you contact his computer guy yet?
No.
Not yet. It's on the
In the
agenda,
office.
I'm sure. In San Jose,
Oh, San Jose, okay.
so we're in Cambrian.
Okay.
So kind of by Cambrian Park Plaza, Lee and Camden. So right here. There's Mr. Hall. All right, now I found out whose note taker that is. It's Mr. Hall. Yay. And there's Mr. Scoggins. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, absolutely. Okay.
We're gonna give it just another couple minutes. Get everybody gets to get logged on. And let's see. We have Mr. Hall. If you could tell us where you're calling in from, that would be great. We could start with that.
Sorry, I'm trying to have an early lunch at the same time. In fact, let me get the video on. I am calling from Redwood Shores, California, part of Redwood
Nice.
City.
Nice.
And this is only my second call, so I'm still getting my feet wet. Very glad that I met Julie. And I just run a small business that's focused on helping seniors in particular make important decisions, including real estate. And I'm looking at it through the lens of their budgets and their assets, and doing the analysis, but also doing bookkeeping if necessary, so that they got a good grasp of their financial status.
Let's call it what it is. You're a daily money manager.
Yes, sir. I didn't think anybody knew what that term was.
They better, especially
yeah.
through my class.
So yeah, you go to my website, I'm kind of more branding myself as a personal CFO, but by trade, I am a daily money manager.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
And that'll give you an idea of, yes, we're seniors real estate specialists, but we are realtors and our preferred affiliates. We all work together for the same senior homeowners and the families of senior homeowners. And so we've created a situation where we all are working together to serve that family. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Dierdre is from Santa Clara County. She's from the Financial Abuse Specialist team. And we're gonna have so much great information from Dierdre today. I'm just so excited. So let's go ahead and we'll get started. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Julie. So good afternoon, everybody. Like Julie mentioned, I am the supervisor for the Financial Abuse Specialist team here in Santa Clara County Adult Protective Services. And the mission of our team is to identify, investigate, prevent, and remedy financial abuse for our elders and our dependent adults here in Santa Clara County. And we work as an MDD approach, and we work with County Council, the DA's office, the Public Guardian's office, and law enforcement. And these are critical to our success in helping our elders and our dependent adults. So I do have a PowerPoint to share with you to give you a little bit of what APS does, Adult Protective Services. I'm not going to be touching on what I do, the financial abuse piece, but just overall what APS does and how we serve our community. And then I can open it up for questions after my presentation. So I'm sharing my screen. Can
Yep.
everybody see this okay?
Yep, looks good.
All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Again, I work for Adult Protective Services. And I'm going to move on to the next slide. APS helps elders and dependent adults who are victims of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And we investigate reports of abuse and provide services to prevent and remedy abuse or neglect. I do have a short video to share. It's just a little bit over a minute, so I'm going to share that now. It's an APS awareness prevention video.
Hey, Deb. The pharmacy called. Sounds like you still haven't picked up your heart medication. Are you all right?
Frank, it's Sally. I got your voicemail earlier. So your nephew asked you for another loan?
Hey, this is your neighbor, Mike. Looks like you're pretty bruised up. Your caregiver said you fell. Is that right?
Yes, this is Julie from the doctor's office. I'm sorry, it seems you missed another appointment today. Are you having trouble getting a ride?
It's on all of us to prevent and address abuse, neglect, self-neglect, and exploitation. Know the signs of abuse and who to contact. Essential community services are available to help. Adult Protective Services is a pillar in our community, ensuring confidentiality and respecting the rights of every adult. Don't let your call go unanswered. Call APS or visit our website to learn more.
Right, so that is kind of a snippet of kind of the calls that we receive with folks in our community. So the population that we serve elders age 60 and over. This law changed in 2022, AB 135. It expanded the age of 65 to 60. And dependent adults are ages 18 to 59. And these folks are referred to us due to being unable to manage their day-to-day lives by themselves, and they depend on another adult for areas of their day-to-day living. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to, okay, whoops. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. User error. So APS jurisdiction, Santa Clara County APS has jurisdiction when individual is an elder or dependent adult and resides in our county and or is physically present in Santa Clara County. The abuse and neglect allegation meets the criteria as defined by the Welfare and Institutions Code, and the abuse occurred in a private home or in the community. So for example, for jurisdiction purposes, if we got a call for somebody who was in the hospital at Stanford, that would be our client. But if the client lived in, for example, Menlo Park or Redwood Shores or anywhere in San Mateo County, once that client is discharged from Stanford and goes back home, we no longer have jurisdiction to work with these clients. And so we cross-report to APS in that county. In this example, it would be San Mateo County. So we do not have jurisdiction when abuse has occurred in or under the supervision of a long-term care facility, a state hospital, a state development center, or other county or state. Okay, so our role as an APS social worker, we respond to reports of suspected abuse and neglect. We investigate the allegations. It's time-limited case management. We do provide emergency shelter and in-home protection. We provide them with tangible resources and consultation. APS services are including consultation, information, and referral at intake when the call comes into our call center. We respond to reports of imminent risk 24/7. So we do have after hours. So if calls come in after 5 o'clock and before 8 o'clock in the morning, we do have social workers and supervisors who work our after hours programs so that we are always available to assist our elders and our dependent adults in the community. We conduct biopsychosocial assessments of the client's unique needs, getting information about, their health, their behavioral health, their family, their support system, anything that we can learn about the client to be able to help them. We develop service plans to maintain client safety, health, and independence. We do have public health nurses and a marriage family therapist on staff. So if it looks like the client has an open wound and they're refusing to go to the doctor, or they're suffering from any mental health issues, we can send a public health nurse out or a marriage and family therapist out to attempt to connect our clients to services in the community. We also can provide tangible resources like food, clothing, et cetera. Some of our clients don't have food when we go out to the home. So we can, we can go buy groceries. We can set them up with like Meals on Wheels for ongoing meal delivery programs. We have the ability to buy clothing. When it's really hot, we can get fans. If it's really cold, we can provide heaters. So we are a resource when areas of need are identified when we are in the home working with these families. The public education, we provide public education about elder and dependent adult abuse and neglect. I see questions, sorry, popping up on my screen, and I will address those when I'm finished, if that's okay. All right, so the different types of abuse that we investigate physical abuse, which by definition is physical harm, restraint meant to confine, use of medications for punishment or when not authorized by doctor. Neglect is a big one, not providing food, clothing, shelter, or health care for someone under one's care when those things are available. Theft, misuse of funds or property, extortion, fraud, or scams. Sexual abuse is unwanted sexual contact, sexual exploitation, forced viewing of pornography. Self-neglect, we see a lot of that, not providing food, clothing, shelter, or health care for oneself that a reasonable person would provide. And one thing about our population is that they have the right to self-determination, and a lot of our clients choose to self-neglect, and there are times we have to use as social workers our engagement skills to try and engage our clients, but sometimes we have to walk away when clients have self-determination and they have capacity to make these decisions, even if they aren't the best decisions for them. Abandonment, leaving someone without care when a reasonable person would continue to provide care. Isolation, preventing contact from family, friends, or other individuals. abduction, removing someone from the state of California against their will and not allowing their return, and psychological and mental suffering, verbal assaults, threats, or intimidation, including fear. Sorry. Sorry, I'm getting things popping up on my screen. My apologies. Okay. Verbal assaults, threats, or intimidation that causes fear, depression, or emotional distress. So a lot of times, and when we get referrals from mandated reporters in the community, or reports of any kind, there's typically more than one type of abuse that we go out on. So these are just all the types of abuse that APS investigates and provides support. So I don't have any numbers for 2025 yet, but these are the investigation allegations of types of abuse that we investigated as in 2024. And as you can see, financial abuse is pretty significant in the abuse category, followed by self-neglect and so on. Abduction, I have not seen in terms of the work that I've done at APS. I've been at APS. Sorry, I should have given a little background. I've been a social worker with the county since 2000, so for 25 years, and I've been at APS since 1999, so for 6 years. So self-neglect is the inability of an elder or dependent adult to perform essential self-care tasks that a person in a similar position would exercise, and that is likely to result in injury or illness. So we see self-neglect in physical care, in their residence, and in their finances. Those are the three types. So for physical care, we do go into a lot of hoarding homes. Sorry, that's for residents. For physical care, self-neglect is when an individual is neglecting their medical or physical needs. And financial self-neglect is when their finances are being neglected, self-neglect, or it could also be and also financial abuse by somebody else as well. Self-neglect versus abuse by others. We investigated more abuse by others, 6,423 cases in 2024 versus 2,788 self-neglect, self-abuse cases, sorry. So we do have 3 specialized units here at APS. The financial abuse specialist team is the team, like I said, that I run, and it was created to stop exploitation, protect older adults from scams, and advise them about the possibilities of their financial situations. Like I said earlier, the team is composed of the APS staff, county council, DA's office, the public guardian's office, and law enforcement. And we investigate these financial abuse cases as a team. And we've had a lot of success working as a team. I did have a case that I worked on where the client had diabetes and she had dementia, and she lived at home with her son. And her son thought he was doing the best that he could, taking care of her. However, he was spending all of her money gaming, and he spent $500,000 of her money, her whole life savings, gaming while he was supposed to be caring for her. She ended up almost dying because she had a bad fall due to her untreated diabetes. We were able to get her out of this situation, get her 24/7 care. And this gentleman was arrested for elder financial abuse. And so we were able to protect her moving forward. He was ordered to pay some restitution, but it was very minimal in terms of the amount of money that he took from her. So that's an example of a fast case that we worked on. We worked with, on that case, Gilroy PD, the DA's office, and like I said, with county council and the public guardian's office. So that was a success story. Home Safe is a program that supports the safety and stability of individuals in the APS program who are experiencing or at imminent risk of homelessness due to elder and dependent adult abuse. APS contracts with Silicon Valley Independent Living Center for Home Safe services, and we collaborate with the Office of Supported Housing and the Continuum of Care. So Home Safe has been a great program in terms of helping people who are being evicted. They do have to have capacity. They can have mental health issues, but their mental health issues cannot interfere with their ability to meet their day-to-day needs. And this program really helps people get back on their feet, helps them get into stable housing, and support them so that they can live independently. Emergency response is a specialized unit that goes out within 24 hours upon receiving reports of abuse or neglect. The social workers respond to cases when a client has no support in place, their risk level is high, and an immediate response within 24 hours is warranted. The client may need urgent medical evaluation or hospitalizations, and the social worker also may respond with an MFT, the marriage family therapist, and or a PHN that, like I discussed earlier, we have those two staff on site. We also go out in conjunction with police, fire, paramedics. They may be called to respond to the home to do kind of a joint investigation. All right, the Enhanced Services Unit is the unit that is comprised of our public health nurses. And in APS, this has been essential to address the unmet health and medical needs of elders and dependent adults. The public health nurses assess our APS clients who are experiencing complex chronic medical conditions that are either untreated or undiagnosed, which can make them vulnerable to abuse. So for example, a staff that I manage had a client, a fast case, where the client had an opened sore and wound on her leg. She had capacity. She was refusing to go to the doctor, and we were very concerned. So we sent out our public health nurse who expressed concern about this client receiving medical care. She did have the right to self-determination. We did call, 911. We called the paramedics, and because she had the right to self-determination, she refused services. But we do have the ability for somebody who is agreeable to services to have the public health nurse come in and really advocate for our clients and their medical needs. Social worker ones are a key part to our program. They assist the case carrying social workers with linking our clients to additional services, resources, referrals, and helping complete applications. Examples of resources include referring our clients to Meals on Wheels, Medi-Cal applications, Cash Aid and CalFresh applications, SSI, in-home supportive services applications, VTA transportation services, housing resources, case management referrals, and connecting clients to legal resources such as SALA if they need help with, for example, a restraining order, or they need to have a simple will or trust drawn up. So the case count by client type, sorry, let me go back. Dependent adult is a small part of our population. It's under 10% in 2024. And the elder population is over the age of 60 is the bigger population that we serve. So physical signs of elder abuse that you can look for when you're meeting with your clients that you work with: dehydration or unusual weight loss, missing daily living aids, unexplained injuries, bruises, cuts, or sores, unsanitary living conditions and poor hygiene, and unattended medical needs. So these are all concerns that there are, these are all signs of reasons that we should be concerned of our elders and intervene if we can. What happens next? So consultation, APS social workers may provide referrals or linkage to community services, benefits, advocacy, or healthcare. They also arrange for services such as Meals on Wheels, like I discussed earlier, or transportation. They can coordinate with family, friends, and other professionals to meet clients' needs, and they may request assistance from law enforcement for welfare checks or criminal investigations. In terms of the investigation, this occurs after a report has been made about suspected abuse or neglect and a social worker is assigned. The investigation focuses on assessing the client's well-being, their living environment, their support system, and their strengths. The allegations are examined and the level of risk is assessed. A plan is developed with the client's participation, which may be arranging for emergency services, shelter, or medical care. So I currently have a case. I do carry some cases from time to time, phone investigations, and there was concern of financial abuse. This was our fourth report we had received on this client. 78 years old, and she has undiagnosed dementia. Her son, who has mental health issues, is living in the home and has been taking advantage of her financially. During the course of this investigation, we realized that her new spouse of 2 years also is being taken advantage of this suspect financially. So due to her inability to make decisions and concerns about capacity, and the fact that they have complicated estate plans. She didn't have one. Her new husband had an estate plan, and both of them owned property. This was elevated to a fast investigation to further investigate, the EAs, the estate administrator is part of the FAST team, and they can look at deeds on properties. They can look at potential loans that are taken out. They can look at estate plans. And in this particular case, if the client lacks capacity, we can work on getting her conserved and getting an estate plan put in place to safeguard her assets moving forward. Collaboration. So APS social workers may provide referrals or linkage to community services, benefits, advocacy, or healthcare. We arrange for services such as Meals on Wheels or transportation. We also coordinate with family, friends, and other professionals to meet clients' needs. APS may request assistance from law enforcement for welfare checks or criminal investigations. So the case that I just mentioned earlier about the husband and wife, I have had to call for civil standbys from law enforcement both times I've been out to this home because the suspected abuser, the son, is interfering with the investigation and our ability to fully assess these clients. So sometimes we do, oftentimes with the financial abuse cases, we collaborate with law enforcement in coming out to assist us in our investigations. We also, which I didn't mention, have a sheriff on staff as part of our financial abuse specialist team from Santa Clara County, a sheriff's department, and he will go out with us, our workers, on these complex cases when there are safety issues that have been identified prior to a meeting with our clients. So that's another support that we have. The principles that guide our work, the concerns of elders and dependent adults are the starting point of any of our interventions. The clients have the right, like I said, to make their own decisions if they do not harm themselves or others. They may make their own decisions unless the court has ruled otherwise. Clients have the right to accept or refuse services. APS social workers do not impose personal values on clients. APS keeps every client's personal information confidential. APS values the cultural, historical, and personal beliefs of all clients, and APS honors the rights of clients to receive information in a manner that they can understand. So what I really love about working with this population, the first 19 years as a social worker, I worked in child welfare, and like I said, I've been working with the elder population, independent adult population since 2019. And you can really use your engagement skills with this clientele because the services are voluntary. And I just really enjoy meeting with the clients, hearing their stories, and helping this vulnerable population. A lot of clients are lonely and they just want somebody to talk to. And so really connecting them with a community is really rewarding. So the challenge is working with this population is balancing their right to self-determination while protecting the frail and vulnerable. A lot of times we have to walk away, and we walk away thinking, oh my goodness, this person is at risk, but she doesn't or he doesn't rise to the level of a conservatorship. And so they have the right to self-determination. So that was one of the hard parts of doing this job, is knowing that sometimes, you have to walk away and you can't help everybody. Developing a continuum of care for the elder population, which is growing rapidly and living longer. The lack of resources, which is one thing that I've really learned in working with this population in the county, the community, and for the individual. Lack of affordable housing and the high cost of living. Undue influence is a huge issue that I see with the financial abuse cases that we get. We have all these romance scams. I had a Hugh Jackman scam where the client thought she was going to be marrying Hugh Jackman and put a rental property on for sale for $2 million. And we had to act quickly to get in and conserve her due to undue influence so that she wouldn't give all of her money away to these scammers. So we do have to act quick. Confidentiality laws that limit communication with reporting parties. APS is unable to release the results of our investigation. So a lot of times, a lot of barriers that I see in working with this population is our clients get hung up with who called them, who reported this. Well, if you're not going to tell me who reported this, I'm not going to tell you what's going on with me. So unfortunately, or fortunately, due to confidentiality laws for the reporting party and the investigation, that we are not able to share. Clients and family members can subpoena once an investigation has been closed. They are able to go through our subpoena process and subpoena our APS records, but that is a process and it does take time. Okay, so like I said, Adult Protective Services we do accept calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was on call yesterday. It was a county holiday, so we are always on call. We're always here to help our vulnerable population. If you ever have to make a report in Santa Clara County, our main number is on the screen, 408-975-4900. That is the main line. And then if you call after hours, it gets routed to our after hours call line, who will connect the report to the after hours social worker and supervisor. So a report should be made when there's any reasonable suspicion that an elder or dependent adult is being abused or neglected. Any observation or knowledge of an abuse incident that includes an elder or dependent adult. Any concerns are unsure and need to consult. So it never hurts to call us in and make a report. If it doesn't rise to the level of us, going out and meeting with the client, investigating, it does not hurt to make the report of abuse or neglect as a non-mandated reporter. Oops. Okay, APS 24-hour hotline call center and after hours. I did touch on this. Our 24-hour hotline receives reports of known or suspected abuse of elders or dependent adults, provides information, referrals, and consultation to callers related to elder and dependent adult abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. So you may call in wanting to make a report, and you may leave the call with the intake social worker or the social worker who's on call after hours with resources that can help you right then and there for the person that you care about and want to receive help for. Not all calls received by the APS hotline become official reports of abuse. Supported by clerical staff during business hours and dispatches calls to the appropriate APS staff. So clerical is your first point of contact if you are to call in and make a report to our hotline. And calls received, like I said, after hours. They are supported by Nextdoor Solutions to domestic violence, and they contact the appropriate APS staff as necessary. I do believe that contract is changing, so that could be changing soon. So thank you. That concludes my PowerPoint presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Can you remind us who is mandated to make a report on elder abuse? The professionals?
Mandated reporters are doctors, law enforcement, financial institutions should be reporting financial abuse, therapists, mental health providers.
And real estate agents.
And real estate agents. But we don't get very many calls from real estate agents.
They're the ones being abused.
The real estate, no.
By the Department of Real Estate. No, I'm kidding.
Can I ask her a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dierdre?
Yeah.
Since
yes.
Financial abuse is the #1 abuse by far, and then what happens after the fact? Do you coordinate with the district attorney's office, or how does restitution come back to these things? And I mean, it's one thing to say we lost the money, but it's another thing they lost the money. And so did they get it back? I mean, how do they, what happens?
Yeah, it depends on the case. A lot of our scammers are not in our country, like the romance scams. Those scams, I mean, the goal of the financial abuse specialist team is to stop the bleeding and to stop the scamming. But a lot of times the money, once it's gone, once it's been wired out to these scammers who are not in our country, that money is gone. I did have a case once. I was investigating a romance scam, and the client was very cooperative. She was in a marriage with her husband. She was very lonely. And she gave away her portion of their whole life savings to the scammer. During the course of our investigation, somehow the FBI made a match with the suspected abuser in like Texas. And so our case was closed here at APS, but the client did cooperate and testify against the scammer or the suspected abuser. And I believe they did get some of the money back, but not all of it. So restitution is hard. Like the case that I talked about, the son who stole the $500,000, of his mom's money. Unfortunately, that money's gone and he doesn't have any money. So, he's court-ordered restitution, but it's based on, the income that he brings in. So oftentimes, it is hard to get the money back, but we do see it sometimes.
Dierdre? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Someone
go
had a
ahead.
follow-up question.
I did
Yeah,
a follow-up
Dierdre,
question.
on that last case, I'm wondering, how did you find out that the son was stealing money?
So that case actually, so what's interesting, that case came in for neglect of the client, and it did not come to our FAST team unit. It went to a regular social worker investigation. And they had concerns about this client. She was pretty demented. You would see her, and then 2 minutes later, she would ask, "Why are you here? Who are you?" And so that this particular social worker had some concerns, I believe, about finances and who was managing the finances. And so as part of our investigation, we are able to request bank statements. And so she started off by requesting bank statements, and that's when we discovered all of the money that was being spent. And she had several different accounts. During this investigation, we also received a report from her financial advisor who had concerns about the son, who was pretty much taking big chunks of money out of her investment account. So it was a combination of things. It was a combination of the social worker, seeing that further investigation needed to happen. The client wasn't able to manage her finances. And then we worked together with Gilroy PD, who wrote up, we were able to provide like our bank records and our investigation to the PD when they're investigating. And so he wrote up the warrant. He worked with our district attorney who issued the warrant, and we were able to arrest him. It was a group. It took a lot of planning, and because we also needed to make sure once he was out of the home that she was going to be safe. So we had to make sure that we had 24/7 care to step in when he was arrested and served. A restraining order was issued, and he is paying restitution, but it's, we had to sell our house to pay for care, and it was unfortunate what he did, but we did stop the bleeding, and she's being very well cared for now.
Just one last question here then. Was there some resistance from either the financial advisor or the banks in showing any of this information to your agency?
That's a really good question,
Yeah.
John, because yes. So what's interesting is that I would say a majority of our financial abuse allegations come from the financial institutions themselves. And so they're reporting this abuse to us, and then we in turn submit our subpoena for bank records, and they don't want to share them with us. So so we oftentimes have to get our county council involved to help us get the bank records and to help them or force them to cooperate with us so that we can do our investigation. And we also have some smaller banks that aren't, familiar with APS and familiar with working with us. Some banks who we have a relationship with, who we've gone out and done, in the community, we've done financial abuse, talks and educating the bank staff there because they understand what
Right.
we're doing. We've built that connection and rapport that sometimes it's easier. And so we are really trying to do more community outreach. So we were really happy to hear from your team to talk about APS, but I'd also like to come back if necessary after Erin West does her presentation to talk to you more in detail about what the financial abuse specialist team does and really focus on that part of the APS. We did present our model in 2022 in Michigan at a conference, and it's amazing how lucky we are in Santa Clara County to have this model, because a lot of counties, even San Mateo County, their public guardian's office does not conserve clients when they're victims of undue influence. They just walk away. And I can't imagine walking away from that client that I had who thought she was marrying Hugh Jackman. She would have lost $2 million. She would have sold that house and lost it. I feel fortunate that we do have this financial abuse specialist team here in Santa Clara County, and we really have helped and saved a lot of clients and individuals.
Maybe we can have a future panel discussion with you and Erin together.
Oh, that
Yeah,
would be a
so
really good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so our panel in Michigan, it was myself, my manager, it was the DA's office, Sherry Ballard, who now is not working financial abuse. She's,
I know
Sherry. And then we had a DA investigator, and then we also had our public guardian's office. So the panel was great because, we were presenting our model. And so it was good to be on the panel for people to ask all of us individual questions. So Skip, that would definitely be something that I can talk to you about further, or Julie, and we can see about, putting that on the calendar.
This might even be
year.
worthy of making a separate, other than the meetup group presentation, so we can make it longer if you're going to have a panel and, getting more people involved if we could.
Well, we can
Yeah, so
certainly make an event out of it, and locally, that just segues into for local events, for outreach with the APS, with your department. Are you engaged in that kind of activity, or?
Yes, I mean, we're all very busy, but I like to make time for educating people in our community. I think it's important. I know this is just a snippet of what we do at APS, but I think I'm hoping it gives you a sense of what we do and how we help individuals in our community. I know sometimes reading from a PowerPoint isn't always, sometimes it's more engaging to have discussions, but yeah, I think we definitely, and we do in person also. You said you're hybrid. We're hybrid also. So we do come and do in-person presentations as well. Then I don't have to have problems with my computer.
Yeah. Okay, Bob, what's your follow-up?
This is kind of a follow-up question that was going to what John also brought up about the financial institutions. Now, I'm an in-house certified financial planner here at the Bunker office. And the criteria of handling senior abuse is sometimes structured at the very beginning of the relationship with the client. And if a company, if a group like yours talks about the best way to prevent financial abuse is to be aware that it could happen and put the guardrails on the finances in the very beginning so that it's harder to do this financial abuse. Now, is your group able, though, to talk about that issue? Because it would almost sound as if you were promoting a business structure if you did that. Are you allowed to do that?
Sorry, allowed to?
For instance, I don't know if you believe, I think the best way to prevent senior abuse is prepare for it in advance. Putting the guardrails in the very beginning
Oh.
to prevent it from, because you mentioned that you talked about who releases the data. And that is something that, for instance, you know, Julie and I were talking about it earlier, and the banks are probably going to be the hardest to work with. And then some of the larger firms will be the second hardest to work with. The smaller firms actually, because some of the things you might even ask when you get into the nuts and bolts of this financial elder abuse is who owns the information. And often with the smaller companies, like the ones I work with, if the agent owns the companies, then they, at the very beginning, they can handle the guardrails, what information can be provided to help you or help his family or help the others. If they're working for a Wells Fargo, Wells Fargo owns that book of business. And yes, and the guardrails belong to Wells Fargo, which being that they are, they're going to be very broad and very protective of their account. So it's, in this presentations, can you talk about how to prevent elder abuse? One way is to make sure that you put all the guardrails in the beginning of warning systems.
Yeah, but these, yes, that's a good suggestion. When you brought up Wells Fargo, it just brought up, there's a relatively new scam that's happening where I've seen this in Los Gatos and Los Altos, where an elder goes to the ATM and the scammer's right there, and he drops a $20 bill on the ground and says, "Oh, excuse me, you just dropped $20 on the ground." And they're like, "I didn't drop $20. Oh yeah, I saw you drop it." So they go down to pick up the $20, and the scammer steals their ATM card, replaces it with a new one, has watched them put in their PIN number. And it surprises me that these calls keep coming, you know, that we keep having the same thing happen when Wells Fargo is having to, you know, well, it's not them, it's the FDIC is having to refund the money or give the money back because it was theft. And so that was just an example that I was thinking about when you were talking. Pardon?
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
yeah. And then a lot of the scams with undue influence, the banks aren't necessarily the reporting party always. Sometimes they are, but you would think that a teller would notice, like for me in doing this work, this client has been coming to your bank for 20 years and there's been a change in their withdrawal or their deposit habits. You know this person. You would think that having that relationship with your banker that a
Exactly
report
what I'm
would be
talking
made, and
about.
that doesn't always
That's
happen.
where guardrail tell the seniors work with, I don't plan for this in advance. Wells Fargo is not there to help you in that regard. Their people rotate through. They're also limited what kind of questions they can ask, where maybe a more focused, you know, just like you have senior specialists, you may want to work for a senior specialist in the financial services industry.
Well, a couple of the examples that you talked about did involve real estate, and that's the one thing that we, as seniors real estate specialists, that we endeavor to preserve, protect, and the family's real estate asset. And so that really highlighted what it is that we can be of service for about the homes. Those are very familiar stories. And so when we do have conversations with our senior homeowners and the families of senior homeowners, we can recognize situations and make choices. So we have a lot of resources for that. And that's one of the things we do with our group is build resources for that, including your agency and yourself, which we really appreciate. One of the things that, and I want to learn from you and the public agency from the county, is collaboration of education of our consumers, our neighbors, you know. So we do a lot of education and we want to promote planning in advance so that families don't get into situations such as what's been described. I even have a client whose family was, the young adult was put in charge of all the finances for the older adults. And of course, you know, that money went other places and now they're losing their home. And there was an entire soap opera about it. And then my client and that particular part of the family was all taken by surprise.
Well, if you
I
don't,
mean, the problem is you can do a lot of planning and, ahead of time and all of that. But a lot of times these scammers are so good, they catch our clients off guard. And they don't
yeah,
even know they're being scammed until they're scammed. And so that's part of the problem.
and if you
Um,
notice, I put in the comments that 90% of abuse, and that includes financial abuse, is done by known members, either family members, caregivers, or whatever. And these are the people that the elders usually trust. So they might be scammed and they don't realize it. And they might even be in denial that they are. So, the guardrails are not going to work there because the person says, well, I'm not getting scammed. This is just what I do with my son. So
That's what's happening in the case that I'm just assigning today. The client, my son's great. I just help him pay a little bit of his rent
Yep.
and he takes care of me and there's no problem. There's no issue. And so you really have to dig deeper and, and look into it. And when we have situations like that.
Michelin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Maybe a comment. And I read the article that you sent out yesterday about elder abuse, the financial different aspects of elder abuse. And I honed in on the financial part because I had a client and she's a friend, known her a long time. And I don't think she thinks she's being abused. Same thing. I think they're all in denial. But she's and we were going to list the property. The kids didn't want to just sell it because they think that's their inheritance and one thing or another. There were so many layers to this. I started the contract, I think in September, October, and it was going to expire in March, and it did expire March 22nd. The daughter called me and asked me when it was going to expire, and I think it was her way of getting rid of me. Because I stayed involved through all these months. It was like we were on a treadmill going nowhere. So when it expired, I was kind of glad because I was looking at it as a realtor perspective, but now I can see it as a friend. So I've been sending her different things. And this article was certainly one, not just this one, but I also sent an email to Michelle Schroeder. She was with us a couple of weeks ago about doing the same class with even a small group, big group, medium-sized group, whatever, in order to discuss these issues because they're blind. They don't want to believe it, but they're blind. And the kids they think they're looking out for their mom, but they really aren't because they're not doing what mom wants. And she's very coherent in terms of her ability to make decisions. But it seems like they're putting everything in her way to keep her from selling the house, including putting her son who's been living with them for 5 years. And I did call CAR to find out what I could do on that front. And they said because she's been letting him live there for free for 5 years, but she had no idea he was bringing in his homeless girlfriend there too. That was not a part of the deal. But they said, you give him a letter going through the eviction process. She doesn't want to do it, but I think that's her last choice. And put in the wording as revoke of permission. And give him his 30 days. And after those 30 days, he has to get out, call the sheriff or whatever. So that's where I left it. I haven't talked to her since because it was so depressing for me. And I had to take care of me because I have other clients to take care of as well. So I just think education and being on the front end, like you were saying, is more proactive and saying, let's talk about these things. Let's identify them early. And the kids would be in denial. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no. I think they would never admit it. They would never admit it. And the client, my friend, has gone along with it, including taking out more money to support where she's living, which is a nursing facility, paying utilities and paying the mortgage for her grandson is freeloading. That is elder abuse.
That is elder abuse, yes. And
so
you see
I can't
that a
wait
lot.
to get this thing.
We see that a lot with family members fighting over their inheritance before their loved ones have passed away. And that is just, it's so infuriating because it's like, this is their money. They worked hard for their money. They have a right to, live their life until they pass away with their money, living their best life. And we
Yeah.
do see that a lot at APS where there's just a lot of, familial fighting over money.
And one of the things I just want to add this last thing, and I wanted to report it. And I even called the CSA, who I don't think she's ever attended any of these meetings, but I asked her, what should I do? And she said she didn't know. So I don't even know if she knows that SourceWise is out there and you guys from APS are out there in order to make a referral. Because I was going to step back and let her come in as a neutral party.
You
Because I
can
was
make
getting
you can
emotionally
make a
involved.
report. Yeah. You can make a report and you can ask, the reporting party is confidential, but when you're making the report, you can also say you want to remain confidential, but you need to make a report in the county where your friend or this person is living.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Joe, you had a question?
Yes, I do. Actually, I put it on the chat there. So you guys are state agency who provides the funding? Is that
We have different funding sources. We have state funding. We have grant funding, like the Home Safe was a special, the Home Safe program, one of the specialized units that I was talking about is special funding that actually we just learned got renewed. So we have to show our numbers to the state of, how the programs are working and how we're helping people. So we weren't sure if we would get more funding for the Home Safe program, and that did get refunded. But I'm not sure what's going to be happening now with the state of our politics in terms of funding.
right? So, but you are a state agency. You are a state employee then?
We're county agency. We're County of
County
Santa Clara.
agency. Okay, so yeah, so every year you might potentially looking or short of a budget or funding. So
It depends on the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just general idea there, but I do have a question. Actually, two specific question in there. There was way back. In fact, probably over 20 years ago, before I was a SRES, I have a specific sample. I don't know if they qualify for financial abuse. I have a past client in this particular case. His old dad, I don't recall a specific age, probably in late 70 or early 80 or something like that. Somehow the three adult children did not know that until afterward, somehow got married to a young wife. I'm talking about they're over 20, 30 years age different. So this lady, at the time, we are not aware of any physical abuse or anything like that. But shortly after the wedding, the property was put in John Tenant. We are talking about in Palo Alto. At the time, it was over $1 million worth already. I'm sure today is 3 to 5 mil plus. So that two things, right? If you found out the son did not find out the wedding until later. If you found out before that, can you stop it? And second, if it happened already, is there anything you can do on this? This is apparently long-term planning, this lady. Now, hopefully, she's not abusing him until he passed, then he get the property. That's one story, but you don't know after that, right? There's a long way. So I don't know in this case, basically, the guy gave away the property, millions of dollars in this case, so. How do you handle that,
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you would have to look at. You would need to know, he's married to this person. Was it undue influence? Did he have
Right.
capacity? Were there concerns about his capacity when he, changed his will and estate plan? So we have had, we do deal with deeds with the FAST team, changes of names on deeds of property, changes of trust documents,
Can that be
beneficiaries.
reversed, you're saying? Can
I'm
that
sorry, I
be
didn't
reversed?
hear you.
Can that be
We
reversed?
we could, yes.
Oh, okay. So that's
I mean,
good. That's good to know. at least,
can't
well,
speak to the
hopefully we
example that
find
you're
out
giving.
before that happen, that would be a lot easier. Then you guys might able to stop or whatever. But afterward, a little bit more tricky when the title already transferred.
Right. And I'm not speaking to your specific example. I'm not sure the ins and the
Right,
outs.
right. Not this. I'm
Right.
talking about in general. Right. Yeah.
Right. So then when there have been changes in the property deed that we get involved, the FAST team, and you know, we can, we work, like I said, with the DA's office. And if a crime has occurred, we do, you know, work on.
I see. So if there's a crime that is possible, maybe you need a judge order or whatever, get reversed that. Okay. So that's
It
good to
has,
know.
a crime would have had to have occurred. We can't just say, oh, you deeded
Right,
your
right.
property to
Understand.
your new
Of
wife
course.
and we
Right,
don't
yeah.
like her, so we're
Right,
gonna,
right,
you know,
right. Yeah.
there
As
has
I
to be
said,
evidence.
she might, treat him nice until he passed away, in which case that not great, but that will be fine. But if they're abusing, that will be different, so yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right,
So
thank you.
Mike, you have a question?
Oh, I
I'm trying to
think,
unmute myself. Wait, oh yeah, I did. So I'm working with a family, this was a while ago, that the daughter was encouraging her parents, both who had early dementia, to move out of the house because they were having a hard time managing the household and the finances. And so she was concerned about their safety, and she's trying to make these, to work to get them into a senior community where they'd be supervised. They had a very close friend. The couple had a lady friend who was determined to poison them against the daughter, and who ended up being in very much financial abuse and stealing and doing a lot of abusive things to the couple. But the daughter, and who called APS, but the APS comes out and the family said, the couple says, oh no, Jane is a wonderful lady. She's our friend and she's helping us and she's here all the time. Well, she's here all the time picking up, the bracelets and this and that. And so the capacity question, how do you get there to where you can actually move in and,
and that's the hardest part of this job, is a lot of times our clients refuse. We have to get them to the doctor and to get, a capacity assessment or declaration done by the doctor. And a lot of times it's hard to get them to go to the doctor. And so that sometimes it's helpful to have our public health nurse go out to connect them to their primary care, to get a neurologist to do an evaluation. But was that your question in terms of capacity? I'm sorry. What was your question?
Well, in that kind of circumstance, the daughter was, hands tied. She can't get them to go see a doctor to get the evaluation, and they refuse to let go of their friend who was poisoning them against her, the daughter. So what's her recourse at that point?
Yeah, she could. So family members don't need a capacity declaration to file for conservatorship. So she could, retain an attorney, which would be money out of her pocket initially, to assist her in filing for conservatorship due to undue influence. Potentially these family friends are unduly influencing her parents. And that would be one way that she could go and get into court. Once a petition is filed and the client is in our probate court system, the judge can order the capacity declarations. But you have to get into court first to be able to get that court order. But yeah.
So you have to get a lawyer, and that takes some time, I imagine.
Yeah. You don't have to get a lawyer, but we can't give legal advice either because I'm not a lawyer, but I think these cases can be really complicated, and it's really prudent to have a lawyer who knows what they're doing in these complicated cases. And again, if the client has an estate and you are attempting to conserve the estate, the person who's conserving, the conservator, can get reimbursed for attorney fees after the fact, but not everybody has that kind of money to put up front to do this. So
is that something Sala could help with?
No, Sala, they do very small things, tasks like restraining orders or a simple will. I haven't seen Sala really do anything. I'm not knocking Sala, I'm just saying I haven't seen them do anything significant like in probate court or with conservatorship cases. Another thing that APS, sorry, I forgot to mention, in Santa Clara County can do, we can help our clients get restraining orders. They just have to be in agreement with it. So if they have like a family member who's living at home, who's refusing to leave, as you know, it's really hard to evict family members from from homes, even if they've never paid rent. If they receive mail and live there longer, I think, than 6 months, it's really difficult. But if there are, you know, safety issues, we can assist the client in getting a restraining order, which would get the suspect out of the house immediately. So I forgot to mention that that's another thing that we can help with as well.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Is there some information that Deirdre shared with us today that you guys might find helpful when we have conversations with our clients and even our colleagues?
No, not a bit. No.
Narky man.
Skip.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is Lynn. Hi, Mike. Hope you guys are doing well. And no, I am filled with gratitude to Julie to put all of these amazing resources before us. And actually, I was late in this meeting because I was also talking to another senior, client. And it really makes our job so much more valuable, as consultants when we have these type of resources. And I also thank Dierdre too, because this is not an easy conversation to bring up with, family members or clients if you do see such a thing. Fortunately, I haven't directly had this happen, but I know that it has happened to other people. And that's why, like, I'm always really happy when our senior clients invites one of their children to be a part of the transaction, because I would never want to be in a compromising position with myself or with somebody else that wasn't, doing something that they're not supposed to, like just to have a witness. But it's good to know that there are resources where we can reach out and, we don't have to be handling it, but, to hand it over to someone like, is it Dierdre? Sorry,
Deirdre, yes. Mhm.
Oh, Deirdre, yeah, and yeah. So, and I'm sorry, I jumped in late. So you work, your agency, the APS, is under the county jurisdiction?
Yeah, Santa Clara County Adult Protective Services.
Okay, and you guys are funded by our tax dollars, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. So, because yeah, my next question was, is there a charge for your services?
No,
Okay, that's amazing.
but like I said, in the presentation, there are lacking resources for the elder population. The biggest
Mhm.
resource that is lacking is care in the home and housing. And so, so that is a challenge in working with clients who don't have, funding to pay for care. We do have a program called In-Home Supportive Services, where they can hire providers to come in and help them, but they have to be able to qualify for Medi-Cal. These are all programs that our social worker ones can help our clients, apply to, see if they qualify. But I just wish there were more supportive services for this population.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to IHSS for one of our sessions too.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah, we
we're
work.
really, oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we work closely with them a lot. They actually are mandated reporters. They report a lot of cases to us.
Mm.
They're in our building on the one floor up.
Well, and we're really privileged to have a collaboration with Wellbe Health, and they are a local administrator of the PACE program. So we do collaborate with them. So it's very helpful with the conversations that we have. The PACE program is a program that helps people stay in their homes. Also, I wanted to mention, because Deirdre, it is the county agency, this is all available to all of us. It's not even just for seniors, it's just for everybody, for anybody and everybody, and for us to know about. So when we do have conversations and interactions in our day-to-day, even with family, friends, clients, and colleagues, we have these resources are available for everybody, and it's not an income level thing. Or need based. It's just an is based. We see something, and so we can have resources to know and learn about when it is that we need to say something. Right?
Sorry, okay, and I haven't been manning the chat. It looks like Margarita asked, do all APS locations have the same services and rules, or do they vary by county? We are all mandated, like in terms of APS, we're all mandated to investigate and allegations of abuse or neglect. I think resources and services available to the community depends on the community where you're at. We have a very big county here in Santa Clara, and we're lucky to have the Home Safe program, the FAST program, emergency response. So I can't speak to how other counties conduct their business, but we are required to investigate abuse and neglect allegations that meet our jurisdiction.
Thank you.
You know, some of you might be interested in putting on a more extensive group of seminars. This could be an all-day project, and it certainly would make you guys stand out if you do this, but we can incorporate things such as the financial scams, of course, you know, all of the other ones too, consumer mortgages, estate, escrow, computer scams, identity theft, credit scores and repair. And this could be a day-long series of sessions that somebody might want to put on, because there's just so much abuse here. It's a huge industry. I think next week when Aaron comes on and talks about it, you're going to be really shocked at how big this thing is and how structured it is.
I'm in. Is there a way we can invite clients?
Sure. Give them the link.
Okay. Great.
So, Deirdre, with your agency, so there's the other agencies in other counties, as you were just talking about. Every county is different on what programs they have, but usually there's area agency on aging in each county, and adult protective services would be part of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's adult protective services in all counties. Yes. I think the question was more geared toward resources and do we all work together the same way? I mean, I can't speak for how other counties work their adult protective services cases and how cases get assigned. And I mean, we are mandated to see the client within 10 days. There's certain mandates that we all have to follow, but in terms of, you know, I have a social worker that I supervise who came from San Mateo County, and they don't have a FAST team, but they have a different team that does things a little bit differently. So, so that's an example of how we both investigate financial abuse, but we have different models, I guess.
And to be clear, adult protective services is not part of the AAA. It's a county service that's different from the AAA.
Good to know.
No.
Good to know. Yeah. Yeah.
Adult Protective Services is under the Department of Adult and Aging Services in Santa Clara County. So and we're under that umbrella. And under Department of Adult and Aging Services, we have Adult Protective Services, we have IHSS and Home Supportive Services, we have the Public Guardian's Office, and we have Senior Nutrition. So there's for, you know, the different facets of all under the same umbrella of DAWs.
For community outreach, do you and your department, do you interact with a bunch of different type of industries, you know, to talk to consumers, or is that something like for
You mean-
consumer education?
So we aren't actively, like, we don't have like a manager or a supervisor who's actively looking to do we're trying to do more community outreach, but we don't have the manpower right now. But when people reach out to us, we're more than happy and willing to, you know, do presentations and do community outreach that way. You know, in the work that I do, I've developed, you know, relationships with, you know, different law enforcement people. There's a gentleman who works for animal control in Palo Alto PD, because our clients have animals, and sometimes, you know, so you build connections, but in terms of outreach, so we kind of bounce things off of each other. I have relationships with the FBI in San Francisco and San Jose. So we have, you know, the connection of working with each other, but not so much doing community outreach. It's definitely something that we need to be doing more of. And I think that would help. Because I think even because our population is 60 and older now, it used to be 65. You know, I would go out when I was a worker before I was in management. They said, I wish that there was an article about this in the Palo Alto Daily or the Los Altos Crier, because if I read about it, I wouldn't have done this, you know? And so just education and in, you know, daily newspapers and community centers throughout our county. So.
And that's one of the things as realtors that we should be doing, is educating our clients and their families on these types of things. Even if you just bring up the topic and say, watch out for like identity theft or whatever, and then they can do their own research or ask for deeper information on it. So this is one of the things that would set us apart from the ordinary vanilla real estate agent. We can do something a little bit more than that. And Anthony, the recordings are always on the next week's bulletin. Julie has a link to it, and you can get that then for next week.
This has been amazing. I really appreciate your time, Deirdre. I hope that I know that we've learned a lot. Does anybody have any more questions?
No,
I don't
just
want to-
thank you, everyone. Really grateful for opening up a hard discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope that I was able to, and we are able to share with you a little bit about what it is that we do and how we interact with the senior homeowners, being a little bit different than the other realtors, because we do have a bit of a different mission statement. So so I hope that we were able to share that with you, because I do want to create a major connection between you and your department and us and what we do.
And we meet as leaders. There's 10 supervisors and 4 managers here at APS, and I printed out your colorful brochure, and we meet every other Tuesday. So I was going to give them an update of this and share with the team about what you all do. I wanted to let you know, I know that Aaron from the DA's office is coming next week, but I know that my workers, we have a pamphlet that we just requested from their office in different languages, and it's from the DA's office on elder real estate fraud. So
that would be fabulous
We
to
need
have.
that.
you may want to request that.
Yeah.
You may want to request that from, I can scan and email you a copy, Julie, of what it looks like. And then what my the supervisor of the enhanced services unit just reached out to somebody at the DA's office, and they sent us the brochure in different languages. So it may be good for you all to have that in your office for the clients that you serve.
Aaron's actually retired from the the office now. She used to be the deputy district attorney, and now she has her own company called Shamrock. And if you look her up on LinkedIn, you can get all the information on that. But she's still very connected, and she's a powerhouse when it comes to these scams and so forth. And you really want to sit in next week and listen to her.
Yeah, I know, Erin. And I saw the Shamrock and I thought, what a cute, because she's on the front page of this brochure also, her company, Operation Shamrock.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting because she's dug in on a very special niche that even, you know, who knew? So
Right.
I'm excited about that. Well, again, I really appreciate your time. This has been very, very, very helpful for us and for what it is that we do. And I'm kind of on information overload because now I just have so many different ideas, and working back, and we can take the brochure from the DA's office and start with that.
Okay.
So next week, yeah, like we've been talking about, we have Erin from operationshamrock.org. And then after that, we have SourceWise coming up, Catholic Charities. We just have a powerhouse schedule thanks to Skip. He's working so
Skip,
hard.
I'm very impressed with all of these people that you have lined up. Yes, I want to come. If
You can.
Well,
I know I have
You
to
can.
now.
Because so we endeavor also to create a community of, we're senior real estate specialists, but all of us and our affiliates, we all have the same senior homeowners and the same families, and we all interact with each other. And we make it a priority to be collaborative in that because it just serves our families that much better.
I think that's great. Well, thank you for reaching out to us, and I will send you an email this afternoon, Julie, with that brochure. And then if your team thinks that a panel discussion on just focusing on financial abuse with the FAST team would be helpful, I can see about setting something like that up. And you and I can talk offline, Julie.
Perfect. Amazing. Great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Have a wonderful day,
you.
everybody.
Okay, everybody,
Bye.
anybody have anything they want to share, or we're just gonna, we can be done for the day? It's been, this is my head. It's
Just
so full.
one quick thing, Dougherty, we had a trust attorney with that last name. I just wanted to see if your husband was a trust attorney. If not, it's
no. No. I know, my name is popular.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, everybody. See you on the computer.
See you later.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.